Okay. So, good evening, everyone. You're all welcome. And,
good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. Welcome. How was your day?
Emma, how was your day?
Well,
Both of you, you too.
It was
You too yourself.
It was hectic for me.
I was stuck in the house all day
Mm.
because of the rain.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It rained over there.
Yeah.
Okay. As showers of blessings. That's good.
Well, it's the
Yeah.
season anyway.
That's
Well,
nice.
for me, I had a hectic day because I had to take my daughter to the hospital. So
You had to take your daughter where?
To the hospital.
Oh, she's sick?
Mm. Yeah, she's fine, but you know, she has
regular checkup.
Regular checkup, but she has to go through a procedure. So we're just verifying to make sure before she goes for the procedure. It's a normal procedure that you go through before, this children's sickness now.
Okay. Well, she's okay now, though.
She's okay. I came back barely about 4:30 all day. So but she's fine.
That's one place I hate going. Is it FMC?
Yeah, it's FMC, and then they referred us to a specialist outside. So I have to take, after FMC, we went to a specialist outside.
Okay.
Okay.
Their protocol is
all right. So yes. Okay, that's good. We thank God for that. Yeah. Okay. Yesterday we went through the knowledge check. So can we quickly go through it as a recap?
Okay.
You might want to take the first one.
Which relationship type allow federated services to access resources? Emmanuel?
Which relationship type allows federated services to access resources? Claim relationship, shared access relationship, trust relationship. We said trust relationship.
Which one is your answer?
C. Trust relationship. C.
Okay. Aloysius, do you agree with him?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So you want to take the next one?
Yeah, authentication is the process of doing what? Verifying data that a user or device is there. That's the answer. A.
Okay. Emma, you agree with him?
Yes.
Okay. In the process of verifying that a user or device is who they say they are. Authentication. Okay. You might want to take the next one.
Yeah. Which relationship type?
Okay, this is a repeat. Actually, this is repeated.
A recap of what we had yesterday.
This is repeated. Okay. Okay. I think they're repeated here. Okay. Okay, you want to take, okay, I didn't start from the beginning. Okay, you want to take this one.
The human resources
organization wants to ensure that stored employee data is encrypted. Which security mechanism would they use? Emma?
The human resources organization wants to ensure that stored employee data is encrypted. Which security mechanism would they use? Encryption at rest.
Very correct.
Okay. Yes, because it's stored. Yeah.
Yes.
Stored data. Yeah. Okay. Aloysius, want to take this one?
Which of the following best describe the concept of data sovereignty? There are regulations that govern the physical location where data can be stored and how and when it can be transferred, processed, or accessed internationally. B. Data, particularly personal data, is subject to the law and regulation of the country/region in which it's physically collected, held, or processed. Trust no one. Verify. The answer is B.
Emma, do you agree with him?
Data, particularly personal data, is subject to the laws and regulations of the country region in which it physically collected, held. Yeah, it's B.
Okay. Okay. Your turn, Emma.
I'm not seeing this. Oh, hold on a second. Okay. The human resource organization wants to
Okay,
ensure
okay,
that
we've taken
we have
this.
done
We've
that.
taken this.
Yeah, we've
Yeah,
done that.
yeah. This is where we started. So, okay. So we've gone through all of them. All right. So that's good. So at least that's a recap. I just said we should go through that as a recap. Let me pull up. Okay. Can you still see my screen?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so today we'll be looking at describing the capabilities of Microsoft Entra. From the last class, remember I mentioned Microsoft Entra, started with that. Yeah. Can somebody remind us what we used to refer to as Microsoft Entra? What do you remember from the last class, what I said about Microsoft Entra?
I think you said something like, if I can remember, you said that it's like something Microsoft Entra is something that
Dog charger has been unplugged.
Can you hear me?
Sorry?
Can you hear me? Because there was something that just came in. I heard a voice. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello? Okay.
Did somebody join?
Okay.
No, nobody joined.
Oh, okay. Okay, go on. Go on with you.
Yes, it's like provides Microsoft Entra provides identity and access to management solutions. Provide organization with identity and service solutions for all types of applications that they use in the organization. I don't know if I get it right.
On the cloud.
Okay, it said
On the cloud.
okay, on the cloud.
Yes, on the cloud.
Okay.
Okay, Aloysius. No, I mean like what you said then on the cloud. Yeah, you didn't add that. That's why I just added that.
Okay.
Aloysius, what do you remember about Microsoft Entra? Mentioned from the last class.
Okay. I know it is formerly known as the Azure Active Directory, and is a Microsoft cloud-based identity and access management service, which it helps organization manage and secure access to resources like Microsoft 365, Azure application, and other software as a service applications.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I sent a video of a second class. Was anybody able to watch that?
Yesterday, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I sent it yesterday. Yeah. I'm still working on the others, so to edit them and send to you. Yeah, but so please always watch the videos to at least to go through what we did in class, and you have the learning path too. Yeah.
Yeah.
To go through. Yeah. So the agenda for today is describe the function and identity types of Microsoft's Entra ID. Describe the authentication capabilities of Microsoft Entra ID. Describe the access management capabilities of Microsoft Entra. And describe the identity protection and governance capabilities of Microsoft Entra. Yeah. And describe the function and identity types of Microsoft Entra ID. Yeah. And after completing this module, you should be able to describe the core functionality of Microsoft Entra ID, describe the types of identities supported by Microsoft Entra ID, and describe the concept of hybrid identity as supported by Microsoft Entra ID. What do you understand by hybrid when you say hybrid? What is hybrid? Emma, can you take that?
From a layman's, if I can come from a layman's point of view, hybrid, my understanding is something that that is not kind of complete. I don't know how to say it, but something that is done bit by bit. Like when you say somebody is having a hybrid class or hybrid function, something that is being done, not a whole.
So if I tell you that this class I'm having is hybrid, what do you understand by that? This class that we're having that is hybrid, what's that? What does that mean?
It's like it's not in person. It's not in person.
Huh?
It's done by a remote. It's done by a remote. You know, it's not.
It's done by remote.
Class. Yes, that's from a remote location. Like anybody can log in from anywhere around the world and take class. So it's not in-person class. That's what I understand.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. Help him out, please.
Okay, from a layman's understanding, hybrid is a kind of integrating two things, maybe offline and online. That is, if you say this class is a hybrid class, that means you are integrating, you are kind of integrating offline and the online together, making it a hybrid class. But in the context of Microsoft Entra ID, hybrid is a situation where an organization integrates on-premises Active Directory with that of the cloud.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, because I even said if I told you that I'm having this class, that this class is hybrid, that even tells you, you know, that explains it, that we have some participants physical and some online like you are. Yeah, you people are joining online. Yeah. Okay, that means if I'm having hybrid, I have some people coming in physically into the office and some online. So that's hybrid. Yeah, so you're right. Okay. Microsoft Entra ID. Microsoft Microsoft's cloud-based identity and access management service. Cloud-based identity and access management service. I remember I talked about that. Yeah, so organizations can enable their employees, guests, and others to sign in and access the resources they need. Yeah. You can also have provide a single identity system for their cloud and on-premises applications. Yeah. So you have Microsoft Entra here. Yeah. You have the online on-premises applications. Yeah. And you have the on-prem Active Directory. Here you have the business partners and the public cloud Azure, like Office 365. Then you have the devices. So with this, you can protect user identities and credentials to meet an organization's access governance requirements. Yeah, and subscribers to Azure services, Microsoft 365, or Dynamics 365 automatically have access to Microsoft Entra ID. Yeah. So these are the Microsoft Cloud-based identity and access management service. You can also have the identity secure score. So I'm going to break all this down to you. Sorry, 1 minute. Okay, I'm going to break it down here. Okay, I'll go through this and okay, we've already gone through the agenda. This is the agenda I just mentioned, and Microsoft's cloud-based identity and access management services. Okay, so let's look at the workloads. Okay. Okay, let's the identity types. You have here you have these are the identity types. You have the human user identities, that's the internal users, employees. You have external users like the guests, partners, customers, and so on. That's the human identities. You have employees, partners, customers, vendors, and consultants. These are the human identities. Then you have the workload identities. Yeah, that's an identity assigned to an application service. You have the service principal. This uses Microsoft Entra ID for identity and access functions. App developers manage credentials. You also have the managed identities, which is the service principal managed in Microsoft Entra ID that eliminates the need for app developers to manage credentials. And so here you have the machine identities. This is the human identities. You have the machine identities, which includes the workload identities and the device identities. So the workload identities includes the service principal and the managed identities, which are like containers, virtual machines, applications, and services. This fall under the workload identities. Yeah. Okay. And this workload identities, you have the service principal, like I mentioned earlier, that manage the identities. The service principal is where you have the app developers manage credentials. The managed identities eliminates the need for app developers to manage credentials. We also have the device identities. Here is the Microsoft Entra ID registered. There is support for bring your own device. Bring your own device. We normally shorten it to BYOD. So when you see BYOD, you know it's bring your own device. Microsoft Entra ID registered. It supports for bring your own device, BYOD. Then Microsoft Entra ID joined. This device joined via an organizational account. We also have the hybrid joined. These devices are joined to your own on-premises Active Directory and Microsoft Entra ID, requiring organizations' accounts to sign in. Yeah. So it could be online, on-premises Active Directory. Okay, so under here you have the mobile devices, IoT, OT devices, desktop computers. What's IoT? Does anybody know what IoT stands for?
Internet of Things.
Okay, Internet of Things. What is that? What's the Internet of Things?
Internet of Things. Let me see. That's a network of interconnected devices. That's connecting devices to the internet. That's in a nutshell.
Okay, so here
Bringing them to the level of to the internet so that they can exchange resources.
All right, so okay, we just went through the workload identities and the devices. Yeah. service principal and managed identities. Under devices, you have the Microsoft Entra ID registered and the ID joint, the hybrid joint. There is feedback. Somebody has a noisy background. Please, can you mute yourself if you have a noisy background?
Emma?
Huh?
Emma, is that you? You have a noisy background?
Do I have a what?
A noisy background. Can you mute yourself if you have a noisy background? Yeah, but
I should
you cannot
mute.
mute.
I should.
Just mute. Maybe when you want to talk, then you're mute.
I think maybe the children playing game somewhere. Let me see.
Yeah, so if you need to speak, then you unmute yourself. Yeah. So when you ask the question to what can I assign identity in Microsoft Entra ID, there are 3 categories. Yeah, you can assign identities to people as humans, like we saw. Yeah, human identities. Example of identities assigned to people are employees of an organization that are typically configured as internal users, and external users that include customers, consultants, vendors, and partners. For our purposes, we'll refer to these as user identities. So all these come under human. They are the user identities. And you have the internal users, which are the staff, go now, staff, the employees, and you have the external users, which are customers, vendors. Yeah, all this come under human because they're people. We're talking about human identities here, people identity. You can also assign identities to physical devices, such as mobile phones, desktop computers, and IoT devices. Yeah, physical devices. This falls under devices. Yeah. Lastly, you can also assign to software-based objects such as applications, virtual machines, services, and containers. These identities are referred to as workload identities, just like we saw in the diagram. Yeah, the diagram we just looked at. So you have the human identities, you have the workload identities, and you have the devices. So user identities, remember we said you have internal and you have external users. So user identities represent people such as employees and external users. Yeah, the employees are the internal users and not the external users. External users are customers, consultants, vendors, and partners. So in Microsoft Entra ID, user identities are characterized by how they authenticate and the user type property. Yeah. How do you authenticate? You could say you have to have a username, yeah, and a password. And you know, these are the things that the organization has to you know, agree on. Yes. How do you want to prove that you are who you say you are? Yeah. How the user authenticates is asked relative to the host organization's Microsoft ID tenants and can be internal or external. So it's the organization that will decide how you want the authentication. Yeah, how the people prove that they are who they say they are. The internal authentication means the user has an account on the host organization's Microsoft Entra ID and uses it to authenticate to Microsoft Entra ID. Yeah, you have your username, like I mentioned earlier, have a password. Yeah. To prove that you're who you say you are. Then the external authentication means the user authenticates using an external Microsoft Entra ID account that belongs to another organization, a social network identity, or other external identity provider. Yes, in this case, you can use, like I mentioned yesterday, you can use Google to authenticate. Like if you want to sign in, yeah, you can use your Google account to authenticate because your details are already on Google. So that's the external authentication. Yeah. So the user type property describes the user's relationship to the organization, not specifically the host organization's tenancy. Yeah, the user can be a guest or a member of the organization's Microsoft Entra ID tenant. Okay. When you hear tenant here, it's just like you have in a house. Yeah, you have tenants in the house. Yeah, so Microsoft, you could suppose if you register, yeah, if you subscribe, it's just like you having, you can liken it to being a tenant in a house. Yeah, so as a member, once you have your identity, once you're registered, once you've signed up with or subscribed to the Microsoft Entra ID, you have a tenant. Yeah, so you can subscribe as a tenant. So by default, guests of the organization have limited privileges in their directory relative to members of the organization. Yeah. Remember, you'll be given a privilege, you'll be given access as one subscribes, as you subscribe, you'll be given a privilege, you'll be given access.
Sorry, Ma. Sorry. You made mention of tenant. I didn't get you clear.
Say that again.
You mentioned tenant. I didn't get it clearly.
Well, you don't understand what I mean by tenant.
Yeah, tenant.
Okay. Like I likened it to in the house, yeah, where you have tenants, somebody living in the house, it could be a tenant. So when you subscribe to Microsoft Entra, yeah, you have a tenant. You become a tenant as a member because you've subscribed. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll look at the subscription, how to subscribe and see how you can get your tenants. Yeah. Okay. So if you think about this as a 2x2 matrix, there are 4 types of user identities, like we mentioned earlier. You have the internal member, you have the external guest, external member, and the internal guest. Yeah, I'll go through this quickly. Internal member these are users. These users are typically considered employees of the organization. Yeah, they are. I mean, like the employees are internal members. Yeah, employee staff of the organization. So the user authenticates internally via their organization's Microsoft Entra ID. Yeah. The user object created in the resource Microsoft Entra ID directory has a user type of member, which enables member level access to organizational resources. So as a staff or employee of an organization, you're an internal member, and you authenticate with the organization's Microsoft Entra, because each organization, yeah, they subscribe to Microsoft Entra, yeah, and they now you need to now register as a staff, so you'll be using the organization's Microsoft Entra to authenticate yourself. Yeah. And we have external guests. The external users, these are external users of guests, including consultants. These are not staff of the organization, like vendors, partners. Yeah, these are external guests. They typically fall into this category. So the user authenticates using an external Microsoft Entra ID account or an external identity provider, such as a social identity. Yeah, they can use their Google or what have you to sign in. Yeah. So the user object created in the resource Microsoft Entra ID directory has a user type of guest, giving them limited guest level permission. Yeah, because with external guests, you don't want to give them full access. The permissions you give them will be limited because they are not staff. Yeah, and it's temporary too. They are consultants. With time, the vendors or partners, they are not staff. They are not part of the organization. Yeah, they are there temporarily, so you don't give them full access. You grant them limited access. And you have the external member. This scenario is common in organization consisting of multiple tenants. So like the example here, we're using Contoso as one as a company, as an example of company. Yeah, Contoso Microsoft Entra ID. Suppose Contoso is a company and the tenant, and another one, they have the Fabricam Microsoft Entra ID tenant sit within one large organization. That's you have like okay, suppose you have two tenants in one organization. You have the Contoso and you have the Fabricam. Yeah, within one large organization. Users from the Contoso tenants need member level access. Yeah, these are like the internal, the employees, they can have member access, yeah, to resources in Fabricam. So this, we are painting a scenario where you have two tenants in an organization. Let's just assume in an organization you have two tenants, Contoso and Fabricam. Yeah, and so you can have users from the Contoso tenants. Yeah, they need member level access to resources in Fabricam, because in this tenant they might want to use some resources in Fabricam. So you can give them, you won't give them admin, that's full access. You can give them limited access, yeah, to the resources. Yeah. So Contoso users are configured in the Fabricam Microsoft Entra IDs directly, so that they authenticate with their Contoso account, which is external to Fabricam. Yeah, but have a user type of member to enable member level access to Fabricam organization resources. Like I mentioned earlier, when you give a user admin access, yeah, that means the user can create, can delete, can update. Yeah. But if you have just viewer access, that means you can only view. You can't create. You can't update. Yeah. You also have member access. Members don't have also full access, like the admin. The admin has the full access. Yeah, and you have the internal guests. Okay, this is considered a legacy scenario as it's now more common to use B2B collaboration. So with B2B collaboration, users can use okay. Users can use their own credentials, allowing their external identity provider to manage authentication and their account's life cycle. Yeah. So with these 4 types of user identities, yeah, just remember that the internal member, their members, their staff. Yeah. So you can enable it. So it depends on if they are guests or what access anyway to give to these users, depending on what permissions to give them, the level of permissions to give them. Okay, and the workload identities. So what did we say about the workload identities? What comes under here? Can somebody remind us? Hello, are you still here? Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
So what's workload identity again?
You said the workload identity is identity assigned to applications or services being rendered by the organization.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, one minute. Okay, sorry about that. Remember the diagram I showed earlier, yeah, where we have the workload identity. Yeah? So they're containers, virtual machines, applications, and services. So you have the service principal and you have the managed identities. Okay. So here I'm just breaking it down that you assign a workload identity to a software workload. This enables the software workload to authenticate to and access other services and resources. So in Microsoft Entra, workload identities are applications mentioned earlier, service principals and managed identities. You have the service principals and the managed identities gone through earlier. Yeah. Okay, we still go through it here. A service principal is essential and identity for an application that delegates its identity access functions to Microsoft Entra ID. For the service principals to be able to access resources secured by the Microsoft Entra ID tenants, application developers must manage and protect the credentials. If not done correctly, this can introduce security vulnerabilities. Managed identities help offload that responsibility from the developer. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And we have two types of managed identities. Okay, let me go through the managed identities again with you. Managed identities are a type of service principal that are automatically managed in Microsoft Entra ID and eliminate the need for developers to manage credentials. Yeah. So from the name, you can see here that it's called managed identities because it's automatically managed in Microsoft Entra ID. So the developers don't have to manage the credentials, unlike the service principal, where it's the developer that manages identity. Yeah. So so with managed identity, it helps offload that responsibility from the developer. Yeah. So here they provide managed identities. They provide
It's
an identity.
raining heavily here. I can barely hear you, honestly.
You can barely hear me. Oh, it's raining.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me now?
I can barely hear you. It's raining heavily here.
Are you
The
in
noise
Owerri?
is too much.
Are you in Owerri?
Is it raining over there too?
Not at all. That's why I'm asking you, are you in Owerri?
I can't even hear anyone.
Okay. Ima, are you in Owerri yourself?
Yes, it's not raining in my area. Oh. It's very dry.
Ah, okay. Okay, if you can't hear me, then maybe we should just
Okay. Are you not Aloy? Hello?
Yeah.
He's not hearing you at all.
He says he can't hear you. Okay. What we could do is we could leave it here. Yeah, and continue on Monday. Aloy, can you hear me? Ima, you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, we'll continue. I mean, if you can't hear us, then there's no point. So I'm going to stop recording. We'll just continue.
Right. Are you almost at the end of the class?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, that means we'll continue.
Okay, we started about 6. We've just done like an hour and a half, but it's okay. I mean, I know. I'll stop recording. Okay, I think he dropped a message. The noise from the room was overwhelming.
He left already?
No, he's still here. He's still in class, but he says he can't hear us.
Wow, where is it that it's raining like that in Owerri? It's very dry where I wish I can ask him where he is because it's not raining here at all.
Are you not wearing yourself?
Yes. I'm even at the heart of Owerri. It's